Okay. Fiddling around with everything. All right. So now we get to, pardon?
Pardon me?
Okay. And you'll need to sign the photo release.
I will.
But, okay. So now we get to the part acquiring a service dog. So you know all the laws, you know what you need to be doing, and now you're looking at actually getting a service dog. So there's a few different resources. Pet Partners, which used to be Delta Society, they do therapy dogs and they do service dogs. And the therapy dog, the difference between a therapy dog and a service dog, a therapy dog provides companionship and comfort. It's a pet dog that's been specially trained to go out and visit with people. And they have no trained tasks to mitigate a disability. And the service dog, of course, has trained tasks. IAADP is International Association of Assistance Dog Partners, and that is the owners, the handlers of the service dogs. It's mainly for them. A forum for advocacy and for training a dog and all things in between. Also for providers and friends and family of the service dog handlers. Then there's Assistance Dogs International, which we talked about a little bit, and that is a blanket organization of service dog training organizations. But and Pet Partners does not provide service dogs. They have a listing of trainers and various resources. IAADP does not list trainers, but they have many resources. And ADI has some resources, but they have the trainer list, which is their main point. Pet Partners has started in '77. They do not train or place service dogs. They have a list of trainers and organizations. They do not have any connection with those other than they are listed on their web pages. They have no idea how the dogs are trained or what kind of dogs. They have no influence or connection with that at all. So you got to be aware of that. There's no certifying body with Pet Partners. They have a lot of information on there. It's an excellent resource. IAPP started in '93, and like I said, that is for the owners and handlers of the service dogs. They have a separate chat area for the handlers that only the handlers have access to, which is kind of nice because they can discuss things that us as either providers or supporters have no idea what their life is like, on a real life basis. And they decided that they were not going to list trainers at all.
I have a question before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Like for going on vacation, since it varies from state to state, how do you go about informing yourself with their state laws or whatnot?
Well, there's that Cornell law site that you've got the link to, and that lists state by state. It lists,
Okay.
Yeah, there's that. Also, there's some unofficial organizations like Service Dog Central on the internet, and they have a listing of state rules also. If your dog is a trained service dog, then you don't need to worry about the state laws.
What about,
Because you go by the federal.
like, what if you go to a different country?
Then you need to check out what the different country laws are. And access to the internet, it makes it really easy. There are some, and service dogs must be certified, and so you have to go by their laws. Some of them, any organization that trains service dogs has to be certified, so it only comes from those organizations, etc.
Certified by ADI?
No. I mean, ADI, they can be, but they don't have to be. They're certified with the country. Some of the countries have very stringent requirements for the dogs. Like, I think it's Japan, dogs have to wear little, like, sweaters or something to keep the hair so it doesn't spread, and all sorts of things. So if you're going to one of those countries, you have to comply with their rules. IAADP and ADI have minimum standards, which are an excellent guide. As you see, IAADP, minimum of 120 hours of training over 6 months, 30 of those in public access, which is really not very much at all. Especially if you're talking about a 6-month period. They want the dogs unobtrusive and quiet. The best compliment that a service dog handler can get is when they get up from a restaurant or someplace and people gasp and say, "I didn't even know there was a dog here." So that's what your goal is. And again, these are organization suggestions. There are no federal requirements other than the dog is not aggressive and is house trained. And is trained in one task, to mitigate a disability. Here's an idea about the manners. No aggressive behavior towards people or animals or children. That can be a problem with some people. You get a dog from the shelter and they may be afraid of men, or they may be afraid of children, something like that. And in that case, you would not want to use them for a service dog. ADI started in '86, and it was service dog providers. They got together wanting to discuss and make standards. So they started this organization, and it's only the programs that have been accredited. So the accreditation process is rather lengthy, and it involves having several working teams, and involves paperwork documenting all the training and follow-up, and it can be rather expensive. So a lot of private trainers in small organizations find it rather difficult, which is some of the problem with ADI, with the VA wanting to go with ADI, because it eliminates a big chunk of trainers out there. The purpose is to improve the areas of training, placement, and utilization of assistance dogs, staff, and volunteer education, and educating the public about assistance dogs. And it's a worldwide coalition of nonprofits specializing in training service dogs. Their minimum standards is very similar to IAADP, and also the pet partners. And it's your basic stuff. The dog is well cleaned and groomed and does not have an offensive odor, does not release itself inappropriately, does not solicit attention or disrupt normal business, does not vocalize, does not show aggression or steal food or anything else. And ADI differs from the federal requirements and other organizations, in that it requires the dogs to be trained in 3 tasks to mitigate a disability. And that causes a lot of upset in the training world, because if you've got a dog that is specifically trained to detect peanuts, let's say, and that's the person is deathly allergic to peanuts, and that's the dog's one task is to train peanuts, or to sniff out and detect peanuts, then there really is no other task that it needs to do. It needs to be excellent at detecting peanuts. A diabetic dog needs to be excellent at detecting highs and lows on the blood sugar. If a dog needs to be trained to go and get a kit with insulin or something like that, or get a phone, or get a person, that would be only in support, because for whatever reason it did not do its primary task, which is alerting the person to something. That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. I believe that one task, like the ADA says, if it mitigates a primary disability, then that should be the only thing that it needs to do. If a person's only problem is they have balance difficulties, it doesn't need a dog to do, necessarily some other things. It needs to be very good at maintaining balance and waiting for that person and moving right with that person. But ADI wants 3 tasks to mitigate a disability. They have to work calmly and quietly and performance tasks in public, and be able to be quiet and not blocking. So that means the dog may have to tuck into under a desk or back in a corner or something like that, so it leaves the aisleways open. Some of the resources you were asking about: Teamwork and Teamwork 2 by Stuart Nordenson. And he had, I'm not sure what he had at the moment, but it's escaping me. But he was wheelchair bound, and so he started training his own service dog. And he put together these the books and the examples in there, and all that is written from a handler's point of view. Not most of the books are from trainers' points of view and all, and this is an actual owner trainer that wrote how to work with the dog. So it can be very inspirational and enlightening to have these books. Lend Me an Ear is for hearing dogs. The Bow Wow Clicker Training Series, that they explain very simply and clearly about how clicker training can be used to train a dog in various tasks. For turning on lights, for picking things up and all of that, clicker training is an excellent tool to learn, to use. And I'm not going to go into all of that. It's just clickertraining.com if you wanted to look that up. But it's an unemotional way to train your dog. So if somebody gets frustrated or something like that, well, they shouldn't be training their dog right then. But they also can use the clicker because it allows the dog to know that they've done something right. So it removes the emotional impact of the voice sounds. And it's very precise. Train Your Own Assistance Dogs is a very excellent, rather expensive source. Again, it's a person that uses a service dog that is doing the video. And she goes through and very clearly explains on how to teach a dog to retrieve things and how to teach a dog to do things. So it's a really excellent video. And some of these are available through, it's something similar to Netflix, where you can, there's a couple of different groups that you can rent dog training videos from. Local resources: Five Flags Dog Training Club. They have several dog trainers that are members of that group. They also have public classes, and they have CGC classes, and also just for relaxation with a service dog, they have different things that you can take member classes and things like that. But they can refer you to a trainer. PetSmart and Petco, they have classes that train up through CGC, and every once in a while there's somebody there that will train tasks also on a private lesson basis. There's the local trainers that are listed in the phone book. Some of them are not listed also, but they can train, they can help you train on the basics. I mentioned Your Dog's Business specifically because he is trying to work with people with service dogs. He does one-on-one training, and he tries to get it right. He refers and he researches any of the laws and things like that to make sure that he's getting it right. He will work out in town. Some of the trainers don't want to be out in town and work. He works out in town. He's also familiar with, very familiar with the shepherds and some of the dogs like that. There's other trainers out there that will work with you on that. But again, I mentioned him specifically. He's not listed in the phone book.
What's his name again?
Pardon?
What's his name again?
Reggie Brewster, and he owns Your Dog's Business. He's got a dog supply store over in the Target shopping center, down at the end of the road. As a matter of fact, you go to the end of the road and take a left across from the mall there. And then Cheryl Peterson, she volunteered for a number of years with a hearing dog organization, and she's also a sign language interpreter. So for hearing dogs, I refer people to her, and excellent. She also does classes with Pensacola State over at the Gulf Breeze campus. Okay, Diane and Karen both talked about a little bit about training and the need for support. So and there's a lot of the things from public access, just being a calm, quiet dog that you need people to help you with. And you can either try and find people out in town or be a member of Five Flags, so you go to their member training sessions, or have your family and friends willing to help. And like Karen was saying, that sometimes having a puppy is just too much for people at wherever they're at that time. And so having some places the puppy can go and maintain the training that you've been working on so hard, it's really good if you've got that. If you're working out in town, you want to check and see if you can bring the service dog in training, if you can bring him in to work for a little while, maybe on a short basis when they're young, and then longer and longer as they get older. And the reason that you want to get your employer's permission is because if you're training your own service dog, it's going to take away from your business, from your working a little bit while you're trying to train it. So you want to make sure that it's okay with them for a service dog in training. Sometimes you might need a private trainer when you get into a spot and you don't know how to handle something. There's online resources, or you can call a private trainer, and that can be very helpful. When you do go for a trainer, you want to interview them. If they've got experience with working with service dogs, that's wonderful. Or therapy dogs. Therapy dog training is, except for the tasks, is very similar to the skills that a dog has to have going out in public. They have to be able to be calm and be around everybody and everything. Make sure that the training methods that the trainer uses that you're comfortable with. There are some of the trainers out there, and they do a lot of corrective training. They'll put a choke chain on the dog and use heavy corrections to get the dog to behave. There's other trainers out there. They specifically use clickers for training, and that may or may not work with you. It may be difficult for you to do the timing and to do everything, because it can be kind of complicated working with a dog and a clicker and trying to get the right place to click and handling treats and things like that. So that may not be good for you. Some trainers will use a prong collar. Lola has a prong collar on, and they want most dogs to have prong collars on. Otherwise, other trainers won't allow them in the area even, and won't work with you if you use a prong collar. So it depends on you, it depends on the dog, what you feel comfortable with and what you can handle. Ask if you can preview a class. That way you can see how they work with the person. And that the trainer should be able to work with you at your speed. So if a trainer requires, we do 6 lessons and we do it for an hour each time, and no, I can't reschedule things because you're feeling bad at this time. We can't drag it out, for 2 months. Well, too bad, your money's gone. Something like that. And if all you can handle is, you start a training session and all you can handle is 15 minutes, well, is your trainer going to work with you? And okay, you've got 15 minutes, you paid for, several lessons, so we'll just, do 45 minutes catch up later on. They may or may not work with you like that. So, interview your trainer and be comfortable with what's going on. Okay, picking a dog, yay! Yes. As you've heard from Lisa and from all 3 ladies actually, the dog depends, it's hard sometimes getting the right dog. The drop rate for organizations is very, very high. And so you have to be very selective. There's different maturity points that the dogs have, and they go through different personality changes. So you may get to a certain point and the dog has been doing fine, all of a sudden they get to a point and they can't handle anymore, or they develop a fear or a phobia. And all these different things that are not necessarily things that you can predict. Um,